Welcome to Motorworld, which this week comes to you from Donington Park and specifically concentrating on round 13, the final round of the 1993 TVR Tuscan Challenge, which was run in conjunction with the Toka Shootout, the enormous end-of-season crowd coming to watch specifically Nigel Mansell take on the touring car and TVR stars. The Formula One champion of 92, the IndyCar champion of 93, our Nigel undoubtedly the big draw at Donington Park. Spectators, young and old, coming to see their hero in his only racing opportunity in the UK in 1993. Well, of course, Nigel's household name brought in more than 60,000 spectators to Donington Park. The Toka Shootout for the top touring cars featured Mansell in a Ford Mondeo, and TVR, the Blackpool-based company that runs the Tuscan Challenge, builds the Tuscan sports cars, keen to get Nigel into one of their hairy-chested open races as well, and he willingly obliged. Enjoying an opportunity to meet the driver, the British press, and meet one of the other celebrities, guest drivers of the weekend, Chris Rea, rock musician and Ferrari racer on occasion, also down to drive TVR, and enjoying a laugh with Nigel.
Well, somebody keeps coming off. Somebody else keeps going off, and they're both from Formula One. So I still haven't had the circuit. I'm still putting my indicator out to turn right at my planes.
I thought you were coming in here for some tips from Nigel. It's the other way around, isn't it?
I think he's got a tip for me, and that's let's go home.
Well, the Geordie songster and Birmingham's most famous racing son enjoying themselves enormously. Nigel had previously been to Motor Fair, London's motor show, on the TVR stand, launching their brand new sports car. And of course, Nigel, not only a Ford-powered driver in Indy cars and a Ford driver in the touring cars, but as a sports car garage owner, also a TVR distributor. Nigel now takes us for a ride down the Donington Park circuit in one of these hairy-chested monsters. 450 brake horsepower, less than he's been used to racing in single-seaters, but with the narrow tyres at the rear of this mighty sports car, a real handful even in Nigel Mansell's hands. Nigel Mansell Sports Cars, his own dealership of course, sponsoring the car. Let's ride with Nigel, exiting the pit lane, mashing the accelerator to the floor. This really the car for a man of Nigel's determined fighting mode. All rear end and throttle steering, and even gently into Redgate with the tyres still cool. Nigel just edging round, finding the limits of the tyres and the brakes and revelling in the enormous horsepower available from this TVR Power V8 engine, and thoroughly enjoying himself as well.
Well, that was fun. I mean, I've got to thank everybody, you know, especially Ford, Mondeo, but Andy Rouse, first-class operator, great driver, and I couldn't wish to drive for someone better here this weekend. And you know, the TVR, the Tuscan, what a lot of fun. But I tell you what, when you're qualifying with 10 minutes to go for the gear lever to come off in your hand, it's not very good.
Which is going to be the better of the two races for you tomorrow?
Well, if we can sort out the touring car and get it balanced like Paws, I mean, I reckon we could do reasonably well, if not quite well. We'll have to wait for the warm-up tomorrow to see how it is. But sure, in the Tuscan, then we're third quickest at the moment, and I think we could have perhaps been on pole. That's going to be a great race. There's no question about it, because lap times are within 1/10 of one another and all over the place, and I feel it should be exciting.
In the saloon car, you're only 0.75 behind pole position, and of course third quickest in the TVRs, and they're quite a lot to handle, the TVRs, aren't they?
Hey, I'll tell you what, I mean, all the cars are a lot to handle. I mean, I've got muscles in my arms I didn't think I had, because, you know, you sit up in a Formula car, you lie back like this, you know, and you sort of got your arms at this angle. In these cars, your arms are like this, and you've got a huge steering wheel, and you're doing this, and it's all different muscles. And I mean, it's like beginning all over again. It's amazing.
Meanwhile, out on the circuit, TVR racer Bob Sands is engaged in a very different kind of duel. He's used to opponents coming up behind him, but above him, Sands is responding to the gauntlet being thrown down by a helicopter camera crews who race around the Donington Park circuit. And the nimble helicopter is very hard-pressed indeed to stay ahead of the TVR. Sands giving it everything, locking up the brakes all the way through from the old hairpin, and finally just edging the helicopter out as it powers round the final corner and onto the long, fast straight at Donington Park, down to the final chicane. So all this entertainment laid on for the thousands and thousands of spectators. Toka Shootout and Nigel Mansell, the race they've come to see, and the TVR's determined to make their mark. Sands beating the helicopter hands down, but I'm not sure how he'd fare against the Spitfire. Certainly in a straight line, the World War II fighter would be considerably better. Well, the main event, the Toka Shootout, very nearly ended in disaster on the first few moments. As Steve Soper shows, the fastest driver starting at the back of the grid approached the stationary Klaas Zwaert, who was the green car there, at full racing speed. Derek Warwick, the other Grand Prix driver, very nearly exited the race in the first corner, just continued after this multi-car pileup. But Nigel Mansell was just ahead of that and survived. Klaas Zwaert's race ended very quickly. The pace car came out. Paul Radicic in the other Mondeo did most of the leading. From behind him, David Leslie in one of the Acuria Cos Cavaliers that have proved to be so quick during the 1993 season.